This podcast is dedicated to Aaron and Landry Gamble. Your lives were not lost in vain. Your courage, kindness, humbleness, and deep faith have been an inspiration to many. If you would like to read more about these two incredible men, I encourage you to go to the link that is posted on our Buzzsprout page for the episode I Still Believe. Welcome to Twin Talk. I'm Joy, and we're here with my sister Angie, and today we are discussing the book I Still Believe by Jeremy Camp. So Angie, are you familiar with Jeremy Camp and his story at all?
Yes, but just because of what you've told me. I know he's I guess contemporary Christian singer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you say that? Contemporary?
Yeah, I think so. Contemporary Christian.
I know he's he's a Christian, and I think he's a singer-songwriter. And I know that you've seen the movie about his life, and we're discussing the book now. So that's about all I know. And you told me a little bit about it after you saw the movie, because the movie touched you so profoundly.
Yeah, and I like the movie because it stayed with the book so closely, and I did actually pay money. I actually rent. Usually, I'm like, oh, you got to rent that for $2.99 or whatever. I think it was
okay. So you paid to see it.
It was like $4 or $5, and yeah, I paid to see the movie because I thought the book was so good.
Oh, so you read the book first?
So I read the book first,
okay.
And then I watched the movie, and very pleased that they were so closely together. I Still Believe is the true life story of Christian music star Jeremy Camp and his journey of love and loss, which attempts to prove there is always hope.
Okay.
So like I said, one thing I really liked about the movie was that it stayed close to the book, and I just thought it was interesting. The introduction to the book was by, did you see I Can Only Imagine? It was about the lead singer of Mercy Me, about his life.
No.
Oh, you have to watch that movie.
No, you told me about that movie too. You said it was really good.
Oh, it was so good. It was about his journey, his road, and he called up Jeremy Camp and said, "Hey, I hear they're making a movie about your life, and I just want you to be prepared, brother." And he goes, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Just be prepared to tell your story over and over." Because I already do that at all my concerts. He tells his testimony and his story at concerts and to fans, when they're getting autographs, and he does signings. And he goes, "No, take that and multiply it, but like 1,000,000."
Okay, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
When you just now said we're doing I Still Believe, I was confusing that with I Can Only Imagine.
Oh.
So I Can Only Imagine was about that singer's relationship with his abusive father.
Yes.
I thought that's what we were getting ready to talk about. That's why I was so depressed.
No.
Okay.
Oh, this might even be more depressing.
Okay, so Jeremy Camp, is he the one that lost
his wife
to cancer?
Yes, when she was only like 23.
I'm jumping ahead. Okay, I just realized that I was confused. So there's actually two Christian singers
inspirational
who have inspirational stories, and one is I Can Only Imagine, and the other is I Still Believe.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
And the one about I Can Only Imagine, is the lead singer of Mercy Me. And he said another...
I love Mercy Me.
I do too. Okay. And he said another thing I just want to warn you about. He goes, it's really hard to watch your life story up on the screen when hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people can be watching your failures, your weaknesses. And Jeremy Camp said, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And he said he was right about all of it. He said he got so many responses to the book and the movie that he was telling his story, which really is good, his testimony over and over.
But it can be mentally exhausting.
Yes,
I'm sure.
I could see that. And also, he said it was very hard to watch all his weaknesses portrayed, all of his doubts and fears portrayed. And there is a scene we're going to talk about in a minute where his wife has cancer and she's in the hospital room, and we'll get to it in a minute, but it's a real touching, tough scene. And he said, because sometimes he would go on set and watch them film it, and he said he had to leave the room.
Oh.
So, what's interesting to me, I kind of just assumed that Jeremy Camp was brought up in a Christian home and probably had two strong Christian parents who led him to the Lord. He did not. Both of his parents were not believers. They didn't have any money. His mom came from a wealthy family, but when she married his father, he was pretty poor, and basically they really struggled. And when I say struggle, I mean like he said eating ramen every day, eating rice and beans every day. He said he got so sick of eating ramen that when he and his family now, his wife now, he says he can't even look at ramen. They were so poor that they didn't have vehicles. And he said it's funny, they had a series of Pintos given to them, like the old Pintos. And one of them like had a hole in the floorboard, you could see the ground.
Oh,
and
wow.
I mean, so we're talking, he grew up with, his parents didn't believe. They were super poor. They were given clothes and cars and things by other people because they were so poor. But what's interesting is his father just went in this downward spiral, and he started out just selling like pot, things like that, what are considered a lighter drug, but then he went on to selling like stronger stuff. And he just went down and down this deeper spiral till one day he's like, I've got to talk to a preacher. My life is going nowhere fast. I'm depressed. Well, he told his wife, and he's like, let's go to church. And I think this is where I should have written this in my notes, but I didn't. But I don't remember the exact scenario. But basically, they had both agreed to go to a church where they had been talking to one of the preachers, I think. Well, he and his buddies decided to go to a Mexican restaurant before they go to this church. And, well, they're drinking margaritas. And
Oh, no.
basically him and his buddy go to church, and they're drunk.
Oh, no.
And they're like slurring their words and stumbling down the aisle, and the preacher's up there preaching. And, well, the wife is so embarrassed, she doesn't even want to sit by him. Long story short, he ends up getting saved at the end of the service.
Oh, wow.
He and his buddy.
Oh, wow.
And he
That's
gets
crazy.
saved, and it wasn't a false conversion. He truly changed his ways. His wife did not get converted that night, but through her husband's life and watching the true change in his heart, she eventually did accept Christ.
Wow, that is amazing.
It is a pretty amazing story. So I guess I just said all that to say it's not like he grew up in this cushy life and had a lot of money, and his parents were these great Christian role models. They went through a lot of tough times before his parents found the Lord, and even when they did find God and became Christians, they were really strict with their faith. They sold out to God. They really, and when they didn't have food, they would say, God, provide for us. We know help. When there was nothing in the cupboard, they would literally pray, and he said it never failed. Somebody from their church would show up with a bag of groceries.
Oh, wow.
Or somebody would bring over a cooked meal. God provided no matter what. And then when Jeremy was in high school, I didn't know this either, he was a very talented athlete. Really good at baseball, especially good at football. But he had become a Christian at this point too, and he wanted to go to this private Christian college so he could... Here's what I admire about Jeremy Camp. This is one of the key things that stood out in this book to me. He's a sophomore. He's going into his junior year. He's been reading his Bible and hanging out with all these people, and they're becoming super, super close to God. He's about to go back to his junior year. He's expected to be one of the standout football players at this big school. And he said, Dad, I just feel like if I go back to school, I'm too weak. I'm not the spiritual leader I should be. I feel like I'm going to fall into my old ways, because he had been drinking and going to parties and just not really being a Christian influence or example. And his dad's like, no, son, you got to go. Football. You know, his dad's all about the football.
Yeah.
But he's also a Christian man. He says, hey, wherever you feel God leading you. Well, this private school costs money, and there was a friend of the family who was a doctor, and he helped pay for the school, and Jeremy agreed to be a janitor at night and pay his way through this school, this private Christian school.
Oh, wow.
So he literally was scrubbing toilets, he said, at night and going to school during the day. That's another thing I really admire about him. He was not too proud to scrub toilets to work his way through this private school. And just a few more things I want to bring out that were interesting, and then I'll get your thoughts on this, because I think you're going to relate to this next thing. It was his junior year. He's in this private school. He and his dad, for some reason, they're driving by the stadium. It's a Friday night. The lights are blaring. The crowd's going wild.
Oh.
And he's looking at the football field. And he was going to be like one of the star. I think he was a running back.
Okay.
Not the quarterback, but I think a running back.
Yeah.
And he just begins to weep.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was one of the parts of the book that got, even though, and we're not going to get into it a lot because I don't want to cry on the air.
Yeah.
But even though he's going to meet and marry this young Christian girl and she's going to die of cancer at 23, it's hard.
Oh gosh,
yeah, 23 she dies.
Gosh.
But even though all that's tragic and horrible, this part right here got to me.
Yeah.
This sacrifice. And if you've never played sports, you might not quite get this. But I was going to ask you, how important were sports to you growing up?
Oh gosh, that's what I was just thinking when you said that. Is some people might not understand that, but we loved sports. So we played basketball, softball. We ran track. I wasn't that good at basketball, but I loved basketball. I absolutely loved it, and I was really sad when I knew it was over.
I bawled like a baby our last game.
Yeah, I didn't want to quit. And for someone to actually have talent and be good at it. But I'm a little confused because I thought you said he was still going, he was just working his way through college. But
okay, so this is a Christian private high school. He's not in college yet.
It's his junior. You meant he was able to go to college by working at 9. Okay.
Okay, no, this is just a private, it'd be like Union Christian or something.
Okay.
He's working his way through a private Christian school because he wants to take classes where he can learn more about God's Word and study the Bible more. He's so, and I admire him. He's forfeiting his junior year of high school.
Oh, high school.
High school.
Okay, I don't know why I keep thinking college. When
no.
You kept saying sophomore and freshman, I'm thinking college.
No.
But you're talking about in high school.
But see, here's the deal, though. Okay. They think like his performance his junior and senior year was what was going to seal the deal for him to play college football.
Dad, I don't want to go back because I'm not strong. That's why I was picturing going back to a college.
Oh, no.
You meant
high school.
To just the sports and the environment. Okay, I'm sorry.
Environment of a high school. Sorry if I probably didn't make that clear.
No, I'm just in that college mode right now because my son's. And when you said go back, I just was picturing going back to college. Okay, all right.
How many high school boy athletes, who and he was pretty popular, very athletic, would sacrifice their junior year of sports?
Oh, none.
None that I know of.
No.
And Jeremy Camp, if you're listening, I doubt that will ever happen.
Yeah.
I admire you so much. He put God before sports. And you're right. We love sports. And even though I was horrible at basketball, looking back, that was my idol.
Oh,
it truly was.
Yeah.
I loved it. I would practice every chance I get, go to the gym whenever we could. I couldn't wait for the games. Of course, I would cry every time we lost a game. I was horrible at the sport, but I loved it. I loved basketball. And I just remember it pretty much consumed a lot of my waking thoughts more than anything.
I didn't realize that.
I still have dreams this day about basketball. That I have a second chance to go play and to go win. And honestly, if it weren't for basketball, I don't know that I would have gotten up in the morning and gone to school. I liked English class. I liked history class, but I pretty much did not like school.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that motivated me and got me out of bed. So it was my idol though.
Okay.
But now looking back, I do feel as a teacher especially that sports are so important. They keep kids in school.
I agree.
And they motivate them and they teach them how to play as a team.
I do agree. And I also agree that when you said that something about that being an idol, I do feel like sports are definitely idolized. They've become an idol, no doubt.
And I think COVID... more than anything else, COVID took the veil off of our eyes and showed us what our idols were.
Yeah, I agree.
Because what hurt the most, we missed when Cade didn't get his senior year baseball season.
Yeah.
I was crushed.
Yes,
and I'm like, why am I so crushed? Because we've been looking forward to so many years.
Yes, we were all crushed over a sport.
Yeah,
I agree. You're right. Everything that was it showed where people's true values lied.
Yeah.
And what their priorities were. Yeah. No doubt. This would be a good point to mention. I was just thinking, you said how many guys would give up their junior year to do something they loved, to sacrifice it because they were worried about interfering with their spiritual life. Well, obviously he would be a great role model for young Christian men, and there's just not many out there.
There's not.
So that's encouraging me to hear his. That'd be a great story, a great movie. No, wait. Yeah, there's a movie. Yeah, it'd be a great movie for young guys. And just for your information, I ordered a memoir by Tim Tebow, and I'm actually just started reading it.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about his book here in,
Okay.
here in a few weeks.
I've read a book by him, but I don't think it was a memoir.
Through My Eyes?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, good. If you've read it, then we can discuss it. Yeah,
do it together.
Because obviously he's a great role model as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I like that there's actually some strong Christian role models out there.
Yeah. Okay, so he forfeits his junior year. He runs out of money for the private school. Because remember, they had the doctor. They were real good friends. He speaks highly of this doctor, and I wish I could remember his name, who helped the family financially as much as he could once they became Christians. I think they met him through the church. But anyway, he's run out of money. They don't want to ask the doctor to support him. Just working, cleaning bathrooms at night's not going to pay for the school. He goes back to his old high school his senior year. Well, they're thinking, hey, he's a good enough football player, and he's going to get noticed this year if he has enough playing time, and he could go to college on a scholarship because they don't have the money to send him to college. Well, guess what?
He gets hurt.
The coach won't play him.
Because he didn't go.
Because he sat out his whole junior year.
Oh, no.
So even though there was a guy on the team who wasn't as good as him,
and it didn't have anything to do with the rules.
It's just because they're like, sorry, bud, you sat out a year.
Okay.
And so even though there was a guy, I think he was only a sophomore, and he wasn't as good as Jeremy Camp, he got the majority of the playing time because they just looked at it as you were loyal, you were faithful. He was loyal, he was faithful, he stayed with the team, you deserted us.
Right.
That's kind of how they saw it.
Yeah.
But what gets me
I can see both sides of that
story, and Jeremy Camp, and he said, very uncharacteristically of his dad went and had words with the coach. Not bad, not cussing him out or anything like that, but questioning him. Is Jeremy the better player? Yeah. Is Jeremy faster, stronger? Yeah. Why isn't he playing? Well, he wasn't here last year, and that was the reason.
Yeah.
So, but here's the cool thing, and I like this, and here's another Christian athletic reference. If you've never seen Brandon Burlsworth, the story of Brandon Burlsworth, Greater, there's a scene where Clint Sterner, the quarterback, he's getting frustrated with the calls from the coaches, and Brandon Burlsworth says,
"Hey, we should mention this is the Arkansas Razorbacks."
Yeah, Arkansas Razorbacks. I didn't have a crush on him for many years, Clint Sterner, but nicest guy. We had a chance to meet him and get our picture made with him. Super nice guy. But anyway, Brandon Burlsworth says, all we see is what's in front of us on the field, but the coaches up in the press box, they can see the whole field. They see the greater picture. And I'm going to apply that here because even though Jeremy Camp was crushed here and he may have missed an opportunity at a scholarship to go to college and play football, well, chances of that college scholarship turning into pro are pretty minuscule.
Oh, sure.
And and one of the guys he played with did go on to play college ball, and he never said his name, but he said he would see him on TV and he would get hurt and go, that could be me out there. But my point is, God could see the greater picture. Jeremy Camp might have been able to reach a few people through that venue of sports, and maybe if he had made it to college football, he has reached millions of people, millions, through the story of his wife and through his music. So even though his sacrifice was great, it was worth it. Am I making sense?
Yes.
It was the outcome. God could see the big picture and knew that sports wasn't for him. It was music, and he led him into music.
Wow.
And this is the part that I don't really want to get into because it's so depressing, but he meets this girl, Melissa. It's kind of a complicated story, but they meet and fall in love. She finds out she has, I believe it's ovarian cancer. She's so young. And they pray for healing. And this is where it gets personal for Angie and me because we lost our dad to cancer. But this story reminded me so much of what we went through. They're doing juice fast. We were trying to do juicing for our dad. They're praying over him. They've got everybody praying. They're taking him to MD Anderson. We did that. We didn't get in, but the doctor did look at our dad's scans and said he's just too far gone. But anyway, my point is everything he went through with her, we've been through with our dad. So you can totally relate to that point. And then,
but doing it at a young age, I can't imagine.
I can't imagine. Yeah, our dad was like 70, and we were older. Yeah, I can't imagine. They're newlyweds. He marries her knowing.
Yeah, dealing that when you're in your 20s.
Yes,
I can't even imagine.
I know it. So they're dealing with this. They've only been married a few months, I believe.
So they didn't know she had cancer.
Okay, so she had cancer. And he's like, I want to marry you anyway. I love you so much. And his parents are like, you sure? She may not live long. You may have to take care of her. And then she went in remission. and they had tons of people praying. She went in remission. And when they went in to remove her, give her a hysterectomy because they said it had spread down, to like her reproductive organs. But when they went in to do the surgery, it was miraculously gone.
Oh.
And I do think that was a God thing.
Wow.
But here's the deal. So when they got married, she was in remission, and they thought, oh, this is great. But on their honeymoon, there towards the end of the honeymoon, she felt these bumps all over her. There were tumors on her stomach, and it had come back. And so here's another, and I'll try to get through this part. Here's an interesting scene. So, of course, she's not being healed. She's going downhill, and all her family and friends are around here. It's close to the end. And that she's sleeping a lot. She's on morphine a lot, just like our dad. Boy, this is bringing back some memories. But she's like, I'm healed. I'm healed. God has healed me. I don't have any more pain. And this is the part where he couldn't stay in the room when they were filming the movie.
Oh, okay.
And she stands up, but she's got tubes and stuff. They're like, no. She's like, I got to go to the bathroom, but I'm healed.
Oh, wow.
And they said, she's like, I'm not in pain. I'm healed. God's healed me. And then she kind of starts to fall, and one of her friends is there and catches her, and they put her back in bed, and she dies within like less than 24 hours later.
Oh, wow.
So here's my question to you. What do you think was going on there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is interesting because I don't know. I don't have to think about that. That's
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
No, I mean, I'm thinking, what if God gave her one last moment to not feel like she's in pain and to feel whole and alive again, and that was also another opportunity for her to show her faith, to show that I believe even at this last hour that God can heal me.
And one thing that I admire so much about Melissa is she said when she found out she's probably going to die of this cancer, she said, even if one person hears my story and believes because of me, it'll be worth it all. And, well, her story's been told to thousands and thousands of people, and they say many have come to God because of her testimony.
Oh, wow.
Here's just a thought, and I could be totally wrong. I think God really did heal her right then. I think he wanted the people in that room, her mom, her dad, her sister, Jeremy, all her family, to see the miracle of the healing. I think he healed her, but then allowed her to die and then be in heaven with him. Am I making sense? Because she said she wasn't in pain.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he healed her and let them see the healing, but went ahead and took her on to heaven.
I mean,
it can be far-fetched. I mean, she could just been hallucinating.
There's no telling because, he's God and his ways are mightier than our ways, and we don't think the way he thinks.
Yeah, his thoughts are not our
thoughts. So who knows?
I know. So it could be she was hallucinating and just the morphine talking, or God was letting them see a miracle.
That is.
So I thought that was interesting.
I
thought that was interesting that happened.
Very interesting.
So after she passes away, here's another thing. His mom, she's tough. He's like in fetal position on the ground when she dies. They're all in the hospital room. Well, they all start singing a gospel song, and his mom's like, Jeremy, get up. He's like, yeah, the last thing I want to do, my wife's laying there dead. The last thing I want to do is stand up and praise God. She's like, Jeremy, stand up, praise God. Oh. He listens to his mom, and he said, as he worshiped, it freed him. It helped release the grief, and he said it was one of the most powerful moments of his life.
Wow!
I know.
That part's making me cry.
It's powerful. You should read the book.
I can only imagine.
I can only imagine. Back to our other book. Well, the rest of the book is about he goes through the stages of grief. He's in denial. He's angry. Everything I went through with losing our dad. At one point, he even threw his Bible. He was so upset. He didn't want to play music. He didn't want to play his guitar. He didn't want to write songs. He was angry. Like, why? Why wouldn't you answer this prayer? And I don't blame him because, she's 23 years old. And I understand I think we all have a right to question God.
Yeah.
But we also need to respectfully accept his decisions. Anyway, the rest of the book, he has great faith. What was I going to say? Just the book mainly just really outlines Melissa's faith, his faith, how even though he's been through heartache, there's still hope of heaven and hope of seeing her again and hope of loving again. And it goes through how his grief and denial and anger and how eventually he meets his next wife.
That's what I was getting ready to ask. So he does remarry?
He does.
Okay.
She's a girl from South Africa named Adrian, and she headlines like this Christian rock band.
Oh, okay.
But he said her persona on stage is totally opposite than off the stage. She's real soft-spoken.
Oh.
Real
when you say she
meek.
headlines a band, she's like the
lead
the
singer
singer.
of this
Oh.
Christian rock band from South Africa, and
that's
he
crazy.
said she's got this real cool South African accent, which to me they kind of sound like an Australian accent a little bit. So he does. He marries her, and they have 3 kids, and they're still touring, and he's looking at maybe doing other things besides singing and touring, so he can be with his family more. He has lots of things he wants to do,
Oh.
but they're bringing their kids up as Christians. They witness everywhere they go. They retell Melissa's story everywhere they go. And to me, that'd be the hardest part about being his new wife.
Yeah.
Is following in Melissa's footsteps.
You're kind of overshadowed by this whole story.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
And someone even asked her if Jeremy gets up on that stage every night and talks about Melissa and her witness, and he talks about her more than you, how is that going to make you feel? And she said, I just feel like that's how it's supposed to be. She said her story needs to be retold as much as possible. Our dogs are...
They were tangled up.
Oh, they were tangled up.
Oh, goodness.
So anyway, that's I Still Believe. It is a tough book to read. It is heavy material, but man, it'll give you faith. It will renew your faith, and it is very inspiring to see what God has done through Jeremy Camp's story and through his music.
No, yeah, it sounds like a very, very interesting.
And one last thing I want to say. Some of my favorite songs by Jeremy Camp, it gives the stories behind them. So many of these songs were written from deep, deep grief or anguish.
Oh, okay.
And out of the dark, deep
Can you
anguish.
mention a few of his songs?
Yeah.
I'm sure I know.
You would ask me that.
Oh.
I Still Believe, of course, is the main one. Would you take the nails from his hand? Or would you take the place of this
I was just
man?
thinking, I've probably been personally blessed by many of his songs and didn't even realize
There's 4 or 5 of his songs that are big hits that I absolutely love. And of course, now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of them.
It's funny because I know, when I hear names of Christian singers, I immediately recognize them, like Jeremy Camp. Now I'm going to go blank. But, there's just certain ones out there that are
you
just big
automatically
names.
know.
And then I also know a lot of the big hits.
Yeah.
But I have trouble remembering who sings what.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of the times when I would hear a song on the radio and they would say Mercy Me.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know what it was, but I love almost every song that
Mercy Me has so many good hits.
They have so many good hits.
But yeah, a lot of these Jeremy Camp songs that I've loved for years, I didn't know the anguish and the grief of what was going on when they were written. And I Still Believe was a song God gave him when he's at one of his lowest points, and it's one of my favorite songs. So
yeah, wow.
Okay,
Very
well,
inspiring.
so this one I have a feeling maybe you're not going to read.
No, I would definitely like to read it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought maybe it was
it'd
just
be-
too depressing, too heavy.
I mean, it is, but it's still such a good story. It's I think it would be a good story to read.
I think it is funny that the actor who plays Jeremy Camp in the movie is the lead actor off of Riverdale.
Oh, really?
Have you ever seen Riverdale?
No, I've heard you talk about it.
Okay, I thought that was interesting, but I would recommend the book and the movie. I thought they were
Okay.
both good. So
Cool. Okay.
okay, well, is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay, so in recap, please read I Still Believe by Jeremy Camp if you get a chance. Very inspiring book that will give you hope. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that you could do a lot of other things with your time. We really appreciate you. And we will see you next time on Twin Talk.